hasn't changed since I was 16. I'm still chasing elusive dreams.
You're listening to Grace, Geltman, and Weld on the Hammer Factor. Take it away, boys.
Thank you for listening to Part 2 of Episode 52 of the Hammer Factor. We would like you to know Bad Fish Sup is the official paddleboard of Interior Secretary Ryan Zeke, IR co-founder and whitewater legend John Weld, and retired spandex-wearing Dennis Everywhere. Bad Fish was born in Salada, Colorado, when two paddling friends started trying to figure out how to build boards you could surf on river waves. Today, Bad Fish makes boards for all types of paddling, whether you want to run and surf rivers, surf and paddle in the ocean, or, like John Weld, just go for a mellow paddle in flat water, contemplating your path to achieving Earl. For the month of June, we are offering free shipping to Hammer Factor listeners on any inflatable board. Just use the code WELDSUPS. That's WELDSUPS, all caps, at checkout. You can see our 2018 lineup at badfishsup.com. Colorado Beatitude is attainable. You just need a Bad Fish board to get there. Love that. Okay, here we are, Aniol Serrasolses and Part 2 of Episode 52 of the Hammer Factor.
Oh, that's a race.
That's impressive. I'm just telling you. Should we just rapid fire right into our next toughest race?
Yeah.
Person here.
Sure.
We got Aniol Serrasolses on the line here, North Fork champion for 2018. Let's get right into it. What is your paddle length and offset, Aniol?
What is my paddling offset?
Your paddle length, length of your paddle and the feather offset.
I use 200 centimeters and 45 for offset, always.
Okay, that's okay.
Okay, yeah, that's acceptable.
That's all right.
You're good. We can move on.
We can
here.
keep going.
Aniol really needs no introduction. The last time you were on the Hammer Factor, I believe we talked about swimming down the Stikine with dry bags. Is that right?
Yeah. Things have improved since then. Not doing that.
Well, congrats on the race. It looks like you crushed it. It was a tight race between you and your brother and Dane. Let's break down the weeks leading up to the race. What was preparation like? Were you just out paddling? Did you have your eye on the prize here? Give us the lead up.
So I went quite prior to the race. I went there like a week before. I skipped Colorado this year. It looked very low, so I just wanted to focus on Norfolk, and I went a week before with my Chilean friend Pangal and my girlfriend, and we just camped and paddled every day so much. And nothing really different. I just paddle a lot, and I've been kind of healthy, eating good, and, sleeping and not partying, not doing any of that crazy stuff no more. And that helps. And, just the same, paddle hard, train, and feel good with the river. And it went really good.
What do you think the difference was between, I believe you were 10th on the finish line last year. What do you think the difference was between that 10th place finish and winning the race?
The difference from this year to the last one, it's the boat. The kayak that I had this year, it goes really well with Norfolk. I believe that last year I was not paddling that bad either. I came out of surgery and all, but I was ready. But that kayak, the Gangsta, it's sick for racing, but at Norfolk, at 5-6 Gs or whatever it was, it's not what I need. I need a very good boat that stays on top, that it's easy, and with the OG, it helps so much on this race, and it's proven. You need rocker.
Yeah. There's some features out there. So
yeah,
can we while we're on the race itself, how did it go with qualifying, getting to the finals? What was kind of your road to that finals position? Were you grandfathered in? How does that work?
So last year I placed 10th. So if you place 10th, you get a spot. You don't have to qualify. So I spent the whole week without even training the qualifier, and just focusing on jakes and paddling top to bottoms and just getting strong. But the qualifier is intense. Only 10 people get in, and you got to train for it. Every year it's harder, and people want it. It's so cool to see the people qualifying. They are so stoked, and those 30 persons that are in there are really good paddlers, and there's a lot of competition every year. It's bigger and harder, so it's really good.
Now, obviously, in the morning, you guys see the lines where the gates are going to be, but at what point do they actually put the gates in the spot you're going to race?
So they put the gates on Wednesday normally, and that's a day before the qualifier starts. And then you got the qualifier on Thursday, the boat across on Friday, and then you race on Saturday. So you got 3 days, but that are not 3 full days. Like you got the Whitewater Awards, you are doing the other competitions. So in reality, you can train for 2-3 sessions to the most. And it's not like slalom, the Olympic slalom where you cannot train because as soon as you train it a little bit, you got to figure out in Norfolk. Even if you think you kind of know what's up, in the moment that matters, you can blow it up easy. So you kind of understand the course, but it's easy to miss it every time. So thanks God they let us train it a little bit. Otherwise, I don't know what we'd do.
I was watching the video earlier, your POV video of the race course, and
Yeah.
can you just kind of take me through those gates and kind of give me the rundown of what you're thinking, like what you want to make sure? Obviously, you want to hit the gates, but just kind of what you're thinking with that first right gate and then that second left gate. And it seemed to me like a big crux was that ferry there at Rock Drop.
Yeah. The part that I had the most trouble with was first to second gate. It was hard to squeeze in between the 2 gates. You had to move over Rodeo Hole while not hitting the first gate and then being left of the second gate, and that was very tricky. A lot of people miss that. And then Rock Drop, I did that one good. Always try to stay low and get a good upstream. And then, as you said, that ferry, it was tricky. It was random. And the one that gave me the most trouble was the one before the last one, right after Taffy Pullers, because you were getting there very tired, and there was current going downstream, so it was not an easy upstream. And that one I always made sure to slow down and really made sure to hit the booth because a lot of people were having killer runs and blew it up all there. So it was an important gate.
So not to dork out here on paddle strokes or whatever, but that gate 1 to gate 2, you took a left stroke through there, and all of my times running that drop and thinking about that, it seems like rudimentary to take a right stroke. Where did you figure out the left stroke through there?
I actually like how people were doing a righty there, but I've been training lefties all the last few days, so I couldn't just change it right before the race. So I just went with what I knew. But yeah, maybe a right is better. I need to think about it for next year.
Obviously, it's not. You definitely took it the right way. And so then you finish, and when you got done, you went through the finish gate. Did you know you won it? What were you thinking at that point?
I just knew that I did very good at the top gates. I knew that was legit. I had a good run, but as soon as I get out of the last gate, I knew that I was slow. I felt slow. I ate a lot of holes to the chest, and I knew my brother and Dane, they crashed that section, and that's where I struggled the most. Like when I ran out of power, I just don't have power left, and these guys are such beasts that they can go forever. But I knew that maybe I was a few seconds up on the top section, so just hoping that maybe it would be enough to take the win. But I definitely thought Dane or Jared had won. But I was stoked to take place third or top 5. I was like, okay, maybe, yeah. But I don't know. It turned out really good.
Yeah, it did turn out really good. Congratulations. So you and Gerd, are you guys competitive? Do you train a lot together? How does that dynamic work for all of us who don't know?
We are good brothers, like we kayak together all the time, but there is competition, I guess, but I'm very stoked when he wins. Like I'm just as happy if he wins that I am as if I win. I'm sure that for him, he always wants to win because he's the older brother. But I don't know. I feel happy for him every time he does well. And for me, we are a team. And if I win, it's good for both, like we are brothers and we got our company together. So it's a win-win situation if any of us does well. So yeah, there's competition and you always want to improve. But we are brothers in the end.
Are you guys different kinds of paddlers, you two? I mean, or are you very similar in the way you paddle?
he's more technical, I would say. He has way better technique. He's taken the time to learn things from slalom people. He's more methodic, and I just kind of learn from him. And I don't care too much. I just do what I feel like, and you know, I think we both got our own style. I like the way he paddles, and some stuff I do better. A lot of stuff he does better. I don't know. I think we got good technique for what we've learned over the years. We never had coaches to tell us what was wrong, what was good. So I think we've done good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you've done not too bad, not too shabby. You guys are hanging in there.
Are there any racers that stood out to you, or anybody that was maybe a dark horse, or someone that really kind of stepped it up on race day? That any stories there that are interesting?
Yeah, there were a lot of. There's always Kyle Hull. He's always there. He's always touching some gate, and one year he's gonna win it for sure. There was this guy Mati Hodlop from Czech Republic. He did really well all over the weekend. And Evan, had a good run but got served. He was maybe gonna win it. And Dane, he's always there. He's a beast. He's the best of all. And so many good people out there.
So what's next for you, Aniol? Where are you off to now?
Just finishing up the season here in US. Maybe get a Middle Kings and post pile if there's time for me. And dropping my girlfriend at the airport and going kayaking in BC. And gonna spend the whole next 2 months doing the same as always. Some stick-ins and a few trips up north, and then I go to South America. And I got some good plans for this fall. Got myself a little piece of land in Fura and starting a little business there, making a house, kayaking a lot, and some other plans. So it's looking good.
Very cool. What kind of business are you gonna launch down there?
A little bit of tourism business. We got a bunch of double kayaks and teaching people how to kayak and bringing people from the outside. And also we have this program with kids that we started last year in Fura, and it's all about going to places where there's people and kids mostly with motivation to paddle but little resources, and we go there with my brother and spend a week with them kayaking. We give them gear through our sponsors, and we teach them everything we know, and when we leave they have the gear for them to keep going and help them find a way to sustain themselves and enjoy water sports and kayaking.
Killer. Real quick before I let you run off here, to all of our listeners out there who may want to enter the North Fork someday or want to compete with you someday, what are some nuggets of advice you can give for showing up to a race like that and doing well?
I would say train a little bit, before the race. You should get in shape, stop smoking, and take care, be healthy, and train kayak every day. And for Norfolk specifically, you should train sections that are similar to Norfolk. Train some big water, train 1 minute to 2 minute sprints, because you need to be able to, within a minute or two, you need to be strong and be able to sprint for 2 minutes with no problem. And just practice the course. Go a week earlier, practice the course, and get confident with it, and get motivated. It's all about being motivated and putting the time, and you'll get the qualifier.
I'm ready.
Words from the master right there. Well, there's all kinds of things that I'd like to ask you about, some of the stuff that you've been doing with Lindgren and the Legends Project and all kinds of things, but we're gonna probably have to save that for another day.
All right. Yeah, you guys will like that. We showcased a teaser in the Whitewater Awards, and people really liked it. I think it's gonna be a very badass movie, so stay tuned.
It was so sick watching that. It was just like seeing the footage these guys got from the Indus, and then they showed some like a Stikine movie right afterwards, and like the Stikine just looked like the kiddie pool compared to the stuff these guys were running. I think it is like just mind blowing.
It is.
So, Aniol, tell me about that. Can you give me just the rundown of that day on the Royal Gorge when you guys all fired up Scott's drop? Scott came back after first D'ing it. God, that was like late 90s, I guess, when that happened. Can you give me a little rundown? I know I'm getting way off topic here, but I just want to know the vibe on the river that day and how it all went down.
So we did a 2 day, well, actually 3 days, but the big day, the day of Scott's drop and Wabina, we started at Rattlesnake. We had a chopper that day that came for filming with that Cineflex huge camera, and that added up a little bit of pressure just to, run it when they are ready instead of when you're feeling it. I remember waiting at Scott's drop for an hour or two, being all ready to go, and okay, there it is, the chopper. But as soon as it came, jump in your boat and send it, and I don't know, to share that moment with Scott, seeing him at the bottom, all fired up and so happy, it was so good. He's a beast to do that at his 40s. I don't think I'm gonna be doing that at all. I don't know. He's got this dream. First was the Indus to complete the 4 rivers. Now it was to go back and complete the Royal Gorge and the Royal Flash, actually. And I don't know what's next, but I'm sure it's gonna be something really good. He's got a lot of fire still in him, and it's great to see and inspiring me. It inspires me so much, to see somebody that has had such a long run on kayaking and still has such a passion for it. So yeah, really cool. Very happy to have been a part of this project.
I'm a big fan. I'm sure these boys are. I can't wait to see the exploits up on the Stikine and just everything that you're up to, Aniol. It's always fun to follow.
All right. Thank you so much for having me in, and you guys take care. I'll see you soon.
Thanks, Aniol.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Cheers, dude.
Bye. Have fun. Ciao, ciao.
Well, there you go. Could you be much more humble than that?
No, he's the real deal. Right?
All right, let's move back into this and let's cover this. Bear with me, Lewis. Bear with me, Weld. We've got a month's worth of stuff we got to cover here.
I know. It's daunting.
And
We're need a month off of the podcast after this.
We just took a month off. So, man, how do we go into this? So, basically, Corn came out with a statement. We're on tariffs now. There's a lot of tariffs going on with import tariffs from multiple countries, import tariffs here into the United States, and people are trying to figure out, I think everybody's trying to figure out where it's all going to land. And there was an announcement that Corn made that he was suspending manufacturing here in the States simply because when he exported his boats to other markets, they were no longer affordable in those markets. And then someone wrote to you, Weld. I believe that was, who was that? Martin Pearson? Was that right? Martin says, I think it was Martin. He was basically says, was wondering what Weld thinks about the president's trade tariffs.
I mean, it's crazy. It's just crazy. And this is any objective view of what's going on with these tariffs backs what I'm saying up on this. It makes no sense. Trump came into the campaign with a few bones to pick. He gets these ideas in his head either through Stephen Miller or some of his advisors or ideas he's had for decades that China's, killing the U.S. economy. And for some reason, he lumps Canada and Germany into these things, and he starts picking, other European countries, starts picking fights with these people. It makes no sense. Corn posted this thing on Facebook about his SUP company. He mentioned a couple things.
No, this was Soul Waterman. This is his kayak company.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Okay. The first thing he mentioned was about his making boats in the U.S. and exporting them to Europe and having those incur a 20 to 30% tax. He is correct about that. But that is a very real possibility. I'm not sure how Trump thinks this is helping American manufacturers in any way, shape, or form. Ironically, a company like IR we make our stuff in Vietnam, or a lot of our stuff in Vietnam, for reasons I've outlined previously. Trump has never mentioned Vietnam. Vietnam's not part of Trump's, it has not got up Trump's butt about, for whatever reason, about trade. And so we make stuff in Vietnam. We will be able to import our goods into Europe from Vietnam tariff free. So a company like Liquid Logic, who's making boats in the U.S., supposedly the kind of company Trump's trying to support, is the one getting hurt by this. If on this worldview, we're the bad guy because we've outsourced our jobs to Vietnam, but we're the ones who are going to avoid all of this because of that. It doesn't add up to any meaningful policy whatsoever. So, I mean, as far as IR is concerned, we do make some stuff in the U.S. and from the tariff codes that are being taxed, I'm not sure that the goods we bring into Europe will be taxed, but boats are on that list, and it is an issue. It's crazy. It's crazy. Now, the only thing I can hope is Trump is known for changing his mind in a whim, and that will come to pass on this. But it makes no sense. None. Zero. And if you're a Trump supporter and you think this does make sense, you're clearly not in any kind of manufacturing unless you're in the one or two branches that he's supporting at all costs. That's just all there is to it.
I do find it ironic that the American manufactured boats are going to go up in price 25+%, but the same knockoff boats that are coming into Europe from China are just going to be that much more affordable. So
that's right.
I don't know. I find it super interesting.
And meanwhile, I mean, the rest of the world's forging trade alliances with Asia that's going to completely bypass the United States and reward people who outsource jobs to those countries. So I understand the problem. I do. I really do. I mean, I understand the problem. But what he's doing is not the way that's going to be solved. There's no question about that. Now, there's no one who knows anything about trade would agree with what he's doing.
Yeah. I don't know. I just thought that was super interesting just from the conversations I've had here over the past week.
Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy.
All right, before we get into our rants and raves here, you guys want to do some voicemail? We've got 4 voicemails queued up. Let's get into them. First one.
Yeah, hey guys, looks like I missed you again.
Oh, no.
Thanks for
Come on.
not helping me at all last time, so I figure I'd throw another one out to you. Maybe you can help me this time. How do you guys feel about solo boating? What are your guys' limits and stuff? How do you encourage other people to do when it comes to boating by yourself? I mean, is play boating by yourself okay? Running hard rivers, easy rivers? Yeah, just kind of let me know what you think. And maybe you can actually give some help this time. That'd be great. Thanks, guys.
Canadian
Is that
Joe.
the same Canadian Joe Pesci, or is everybody just calling you with a Canadian Joe Pesci accent now?
No,
Joe Pesci.
that's the one and only. So let's throw this one over to you, Lewis. Solo boating. What's your take?
I'm a fan. Yeah, I mean, everybody's got to decide for him or herself if that's a good idea for you and what your limits are for doing that. But it's, it's definitely more dangerous, but there's some rewards that come along with that. I don't do a ton of paddling in Class 5 by myself, but I do a little bit, and it can be pleasant. I actually it's something I kind of miss living out here compared to being in the Potomac, is I really spent a lot of time when I lived in the Potomac just paddling up the river by myself and, going and surfing and just having that time alone. And I like that a lot. And, even when you're just paddling easy whitewater out here, when you start having to deal with shuttle, it starts making a little more sense to find a friend, although certainly do plenty of hitchhiking and stuff too here, but I don't know. I like paddling alone.
I'm a big fan of paddling alone as well. I try not to.
Guilty pleasure of mine.
It's a guilty pleasure. That's a really good way to put it. There's nothing better than being out on the river early in the morning by yourself. I'm just saying. Those early morning solo green laps are. Did we settle that?
How do you run shuttle on a solo early morning green lap?
You literally run it. Oh, hang on. You literally drop your boat off at the put-in, drive to the takeout, run up to your boat, paddle down to your car, and go home.
Is there a trail that you can run to this put-in, or do you have to?
There's a trail.
You don't have to run up out of the gorge and everything?
No. You don't run up the switchbacks or whatever. You run up the river, and then it kind of goes up on the canyon, and you basically come out. There's about 1.5 miles that's on a blacktop road, but out of the 8 miles.
How long does that run take you?
My fastest time
Grace
is
got this down to the second for sure.
5.5 hours.
fastest time is 1 hour and 16 minutes. And typically it takes me an hour and a half. So, but I mean, the shuttle takes 25, 30 minutes. So it's like, you know, and you're doing something the whole time. But I'm surprised there's not a way to do that on the little white.
You got to run the road. I used to bike it quite a bit, but the logistics of dealing with the bike make it a little more time consuming.
Added a piece of gear. This voicemail comes at us about boat and car aerodynamics. I believe, John, you have the answer to this. Let's go ahead and hear this 41-second voicemail.
I don't. I tried.
Before I even listen, the answer is upside down and backwards.
That's right.
Hey, Hammer Factor. I'm about to load some boats on my truck and head to the river, and I was just thinking about something that I see people doing a lot, but never really had a good answer on. You guys are into goofy science, so I figured I'd give her a shot. My question is, boats loaded on the racks, right side up or upside down, or in the tailgate, or in the bed with the tailgate up? What's going to be the most fuel efficient? Does it matter? Is it worth the inconvenience of flipping a boat cockpit down and looking like the beater who does that? So let me know, and yeah, look forward to hearing more of you guys. Thanks so much.
All right.
It's got
Called
some,
you out
got
on
some
that one. So I have
misconceptions there about what makes you look like a beater.
I have a friend who worked at Yakima, and I remember talking about doing studies of air tunnels with different racks and boat loads and stuff like that. But boat upside down or cockpit down backwards is the best. Well, in the tailgate is the best if you have a truck. Upside down, cockpit down is the next. But I was gonna have him come on and talk about it, but there wasn't. That's the long and short of it.
I hate putting my boat on right side up because you're just deforming the hull over time.
Yep, I see that as well. Should we listen to Quint's? I'm going to play it here.
Quint Doan, he just wrote a piece for Site Z, by the way. Everyone should go check that out, sitez.com.
What did
he
write?
Also, if you recall, many months ago, he wrote Hammer Factor, and I was dubious if that was a real name, if that name actually was the name of a person.
Not only is it his real name, this is his real voice.
Hey crew, it's Quint Doan. I wanted to comment on Lewis's piece on Stoke. I agree completely and think many of the same arguments he made can be made for social media. Admit that social media can change the character of our sport. People who will never spend the time to paddle Class 5 will see gorges once reserved for only the most dedicated paddlers. Boaters may send huge waterfalls for likes on Instagram. However, traditional media outlets played a large role in earlier conservation movements and continue to fund environmental efforts to this day. At the very least, they contributed to Stoke for the environment. Kayaking isn't something everybody can understand, but anyone can enjoy a nice view on Instagram. These platforms may bring Stoke to those who otherwise wouldn't care about these issues. In the past, the crew has expressed hesitance towards sharing on social media, but this may actually play a central role in the future of outdoor activism. Thanks for taking the call.
So what I'm taking from that is, Lewis, you need to be more active on social media.
My takeaway is that Quint Doan's actually an artificial intelligence created by Facebook, and it's in fact not a real person. It's like a robot just called us from Facebook.
That's exactly why I wanted to play that. I was like, this is a great tone right here.
You guys are harsh today.
Yeah.
Lewis, what do you think?
I know. I'm sorry. Come on.
I mean, I appreciate the kind words about the article. He probably has a point. I guess I also feel like whatever the benefits are of sharing enthusiasm for pretty places on social media, whatever, benefit that might generate is also really sort of offset by the number of people who are going out just for the sake of taking a picture of themselves and putting it on Instagram and are losing touch with the actual experience of being in nature, and it's turning into sort of a electronically intermediated chest pounding contest. And I don't know how much of it is my feelings, just my sort of visceral dislike of that that behavior and that media and how much it bothers me when I go down to run the Little White and see a bunch of Portlanders in there taking Instagram selfies who've hiked into Spirit and are just there to, post the same picture that 2,000 other people have seen, and those 2,000 people are going to go and take another Instagram selfie at Spirit and post it for the next 20,000 people to see, and it's going to continue like that until we have a fucking hot dog stand down there or something. So it's such a double-edged sword, man. I feel like so much of what social media does is suck the soul out of adventure.
Like a single-edged sword, the way you're describing it.
Yeah.
Really seeing the other side.
I guess I was curious their side is when is the benefit of the doubt there, but I'm sure that there are people who are motivated by seeing that stuff, but it certainly doesn't speak to me that way.
There you have it, Mr. Down.
Well, in any case, go to Site Z and read Quinn's piece there.
What's he talk about? I'm not going to go.
I have to look it up here.
Give us the hammer factor synopsis here.
Grace only reads social media memes now.
Exactly. It's all memes. It looks like we've been busted on the anonymous boat review guy. So let's go to this next voicemail, and this pretty much puts it out there.
Has anyone ever seen Lewis and ABRG in the same room at the same time? It really makes you think.
So, I mean,
this made the cut. Both Grace and I have heard people mention that you are the anonymous boat review guy. In fact, the guy who works for us in England, he wrote me and said, you need to tell Lewis he needs to disguise his voice better for the anonymous boat review guy. It wasn't even a question. It was a statement.
I think that anybody who knows my opinions about whitewater kayaks, let alone my humor, would quickly disassociate me from the ABRG.
I'm just saying, I hear it. I've heard it probably a half dozen times. Like 6 different people have been like, Lewis needs to disguise his voice a little better, but how does he talk to himself so clearly?
Yeah, it's like we can barely get anybody else on Skype at all, let alone facilitate some sort of fake 4-way conversation. I've heard some pretty good theorizing about the ABRG, but I try not to entertain it, and nobody really wants to be burdened with this enormous secret besides the 3 of us. So it's better to.
It's a weight to bear.
It is a weight to bear, but I mean, it may actually be Lewis.
How do you figure?
I've never. The caller was correct. I've never seen you two in the same room together.
I haven't either. So, anyway,
Quinn's piece is called "River Gods and Booty Beers." By the way, it's about sort of the importance of rituals and the rituals sort of binding our sport together and lack of other organizations.
Very cool. Go to sitez.com and check that out. Well, that's about it, guys. I mean, we got other listener mail. I appreciate all of these listener mails. I mean, there's so much good insight here, but I don't think we can quite make it through all these. So we should get to everyone's favorite segment of the show, your rants and your raves. Who would like to lead us off here?
Geltman, of course.
Geltman, what do you got?
Man, I'm gonna rave about the North Fork race. Honestly, I know I feel like we say this every year, but just so impressed with what James and Regan have created out there. I mean, I feel like every year it gets a little bigger and a little better organized, and just everything from the concept behind the event to all of the little details that go into pulling that off. It's just unbelievably impressive, and the level of paddling is so high, and it's such a good vibe, such a good time to hang out with everybody. I mean, I generally kind of avoid big events with a lot of people and keep it pretty reclusive, but that's one that I'm always just super fired up to be there for, to see everybody. And it was cool this year to see that conservation piece becoming a little more part of it with the event on Tuesday night, and just rad all around. Congrats to Aniol, and congrats to James and Regan for putting on the sickest event in kayaking once again.
There you go. North Fork Championship. Weld?
I'm going to rant. It's a rant. It's a cautionary. It's a rant wrapped around a cautionary tale. And it's a rant about being a bad customer.
Okay.
Right. So
I'm intrigued.
Right. So a person from another competing company of ours called me, I'm not going to mention any names, and gave me the heads up on a bad customer. And, this person had threatened to go to other brands in lieu of, not getting what they wanted out of this company. And I will mention, just so people know, that this is in fact a small industry. And despite you may think that we're all arch enemies, we actually, most of us or all of us get along really, really well. And we do talk frequently about our favorite and least favorite customers. And it's not really an official blacklist, but there is definitely a list of people out there that have earned a special place in our hearts. But
why do I think I might know who this is? Is it someone from the Pacific Northwest?
No, it's not. It's not. But I will say, here's the thing: if all the independent, I can't speak for the big companies like Johnson and maybe for Legacy a little bit, but Confluence, I don't really know what their politics are and how they run. But all the small independent companies, and this includes like NRS and Kokatat and everybody, we are all honest, hardworking people, and we really, truly are trying to help our customers the best we can. And I know we all have our strengths and weaknesses and things we focus on and that the others don't. And you can pick your companies based on those, but it does not hurt. It does not help you guys, the customers out there at all, if you throw temper tantrums with us. So that's my, I guess, is a rant. I don't know.
I don't know what that was. That was a soapbox.
Was that a soapbox?
A little soapboxy. It's all good though. So, did you guys hear about Dagger offering financing on kayaks?
It's called a credit card. Yeah, it's called your Visa. I don't know. I've heard this before. This makes no sense.
Yeah, we got to talk about that on a future show because I looked at the whole policy and everything. Super interesting.
It's a credit card. Why Dagger would want to take on the responsibilities of collecting money on bad debt is beyond me.
Well, let's talk about that later. I mean, because that is an interesting topic, but I'm going to get into a rant here, and this one's going to get me in trouble. But I'm not quite sure how to rant about it.
Maybe it's a soapbox, smartass.
Anyway, so there's a park behind my house. You've been here, Weld. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Are we back on the dog shit in the bag thing again? Because that's honestly been played.
No. This is people peeing in the trail. Okay. And I'm going to tell you what's weird about this. Okay. I'm going to tell you what's weird about this. It's always girls. So I'm going to rant about girls peeing in the trail. Okay. So let me just kind of back up here. And I don't know exactly why this is. Consistently, I will walk out the back gate with my barefoot kids, and there will be a girl right there in the middle of the trail taking a piss. I don't know what the cause. I thought a lot about this. I'm like, guys just are more comfortable going behind a bush on the other side of the park or however this is. I don't know what the solution to this is. I don't know why there's like this kind of go pee behind the urinal thing with the girls who visit the park back here, but basically, I'm just going to rant about girls peeing in my trail.
It seems to me the same thing as pooping in a bag. I'm not sure if I've seen a whole lot of different there.
Well,
I think the issue is when you talk about the number one issue that faces like national park managers, it's poop.
I believe
over and over and over again.
Is your issue the bare ass in the trail or the puddle of urine in the trail?
No, the actual urine. I don't mind any of the other part. It's like, it's the fact that there's an entire 20 acres to go pee out there and go anywhere you want. It has nothing to do with peeing on the ground. But what is it that makes you walk all the way over to the porta potty like you're going to pee in the porta potty and then just drop trow on the trail behind my house? It's just really weird. I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to get ate up on that one, but you guys not hear what I'm talking about? You've never had that experience?
I guess I'll usually go pee behind the porta john if that's an option.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't really go for the middle of the trail.
Yeah. Maybe it's just the handicaps of, whatever. Maybe it's beyond me, but anyway, it's happened twice this week, so I'm going to rant about it. I mean, come on, you got to be, you walk out there, you got 3 kids barefoot behind you, and you like come around the corner and like, you're like, oh, excuse me. There's like a giant, whatever. Thanks for listening to Hammer Factor.
And on that note,